Hey, what's up YouTube? Here's another video by Ratchets and Wrenches, and today I'm going to show you how to remove and replace your output and input speed sensors on a 2006 Hyundai Elantra. Some of the symptoms of a bad output or input speed sensor on these cars is just erratic shifting, maybe some symptoms that they might resemble like the transmission slipping, but from what I read online and what I've experienced is, if you have a transmission that's got transmission fluid that smells like really bad and it's not pink like this one. I don't know if you can see, but well, this is not exactly pink, but it's like reddish. And yeah, so if you got transmission fluid that smells bad, it means the internal components of your transmission have probably started to fall apart, and replacing these sensors is not going to do a whole lot. So you might need a rebuild, or might have to get a used transmission there. But if you got a transmission fluid that looks good, the car runs fine, it shifts fairly decent, you just have like I guess you would call it intermittent transmission shifting issues, and they're kind of light, then you might want to look into replacing this input and output speed sensors. They go on the tranny. They're right below your air filter housing. Gotta get some light in here. One of them is you can see from the top. It's that one right there. That guy. And the other one is it's kind of underneath the shifter cables for your transmission. And yeah, so you need to remove those. In addition to first removing this whole air filter housing, getting it out of the way, and then yeah, then you would need to remove those cables, and then you get to that sensor after that. So that's what we're going to do today. Right, first we're going to unscrew this bolt. Next we're going to unhook those clips that hold the air filter housing in. Next we're going to undo this connector for our MAF sensor. Next we're going to remove this PCV hose. You can also remove this when you get once you start taking this off. It might be easier that way for you. Next we're going to loosen this screw that's clamping this air tube to the throttle body. Alright, so now with this bolt loosened, we're just going to wiggle this whole thing out of here. Make sure there's no other cables or connectors or vacuum lines or anything else connected still. Alright. Next we're going to remove our air filter. It's a good time to replace it, by the way. And then we're going to loosen, there's going to be 3 10mm bolts that are in here, but for some reason this one only has 2. So we're just going to loosen these 2 and then remove this bottom portion of the filter housing. Just going to pop this out of place and remove it. Okay, so with all that stuff removed, I can show you guys where these sensors are. Here's your output speed sensor, and there's your input speed sensor. But we're gonna have to remove this this bracket that's holding these shifter cables to get to that sensor. So first we're gonna remove this output speed sensor, which is held in. Well, both of them are held in by this 10mm bolts. Well, and something to keep in mind: these sensors are pretty expensive. But if you can buy these on eBay though for about $50-60 bucks, both of them. I think that's including shipping, and that's a hell of a deal. So if you have any signs of transmission issues, and like I said, you don't have obviously bad tranny and the tranny fluid looks okay, but you have some intermittent issues, this might be your problem. And if it is, you want to get them online, because you probably save about $100 bucks or so. Alright, here's the bolt. Now we're just gonna pull on it, maybe wiggle it a little bit. Shouldn't be that hard to get it off. And there it is. Okay, next we just remove this connector by just pressing down here and then popping it out. Okay, next it's time to put our new output sensor in, and it's a good idea to loop this O-ring around here, get some transmission fluid, and if you don't have one and a cord, just get the oil dipstick out, the transmission oil dipstick out, and just get some put around this O-ring. It'll make it go in a lot faster and easier. And yeah, we just place this back in, and we tighten in the 10mm bolt. Make sure it clicks into place. As far as the torque spec goes, this should be probably, I don't know, like 8 or 9 foot per pound should be plenty. Okay, so in order to get to the input speed sensor, which is underneath these cables, we gotta loosen these 2 bolts and pull this bracket up with the cable, with the transmission, the shifter cables, and we just push them to the side, and then we loosen that screw and then remove that sensor next. Okay, with the 2 bolts out, we're just going to push this to the side, and there's our input speed sensor. So we're just going to remove that bolt, take it out, remove this the connector, and replace it. Something I did earlier that I didn't mention is that if you have air, just make sure you blow all around these both 2 sensors, get all the gunk and the dirt out. Otherwise, when you remove it and then try to put in the new one, you might have some dirt and debris get in the transmission. That's never good for your transmission, especially automatic transmissions. So yeah, make sure you do that, or clean it as best as you can just around these 2 sensors. Okay, so we're gonna remove that bolt and replace that sensor next. Here's our 10mm bolt. I have to wiggle this. There we go. Okay, here's our connector. Here's our sensor. So we're just gonna remove this connector. Just press on this tab again and pull, and that's it. Just put the new one in now. Okay, here's our new sensor. So we just put it back in. Make sure you dab your finger in some transmission fluid or put it around the O-ring, and when you press it in, make sure it clicks into place. Put the bolt back on, tighten it down again to about 8 foot per pound or so, and put the connector back on, and yeah, that's it. Put this bracket back on, bolt that down, put whatever you took off back on. Make sure when you're putting the air hose that goes from your air filter to the throttle body, make sure you put all the hoses that go into that put back in place, so you don't have any vacuum leaks. Okay, and yeah, that should do it. So hope this fixes your problem and you don't need a new transmission. Alright, so yeah, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.